Today we're going to go ahead and use trigonometry to find a missing angle in a right triangle. In this particular problem, we do have two of the sides, 15 meters and 22 meters. However, we are missing our angle, which is x degrees. We can quickly find that missing angle by following four simple steps. Our first step is to identify our sides. What is the opposite, what is the adjacent, and what is the hypotenuse? Now, we do know that the hypotenuse is opposite of our right angle. And if we take a look at our reference angle, which happens to be x in this case, across from that will be our opposite, which leaves the third side to be our adjacent. Now, looking at these three sides, the only one that is not labeled is the hypotenuse, so we could cross that out because we don't need it. So we're left with our opposite, and we're left with our adjacent. This will help me determine which rule to use in order to solve for x. Our rules, SOHCAHTOA, will help us find that, and we can see that we have O for opposite, A for adjacent, so the only one that has both the O and the A is the TOA, T-O-A. Now the T in TOA stands for tangent of our angle, which is x degrees, is equal to O, which is the opposite, over A, which is our adjacent. Once we've determined which rule to use, we can go ahead and substitute our known variables. And we do not know what x degrees is, so we'll go ahead and leave that as x degrees. But we do know what our opposite and our adjacents are. Our opposite in this case is 15, and the adjacent is 22. Now we can go ahead and solve this, and that'll be our last step. And when we solve it, we're going to use the inverse of sine, cosine, or tangent. In this case, we're going to use the inverse of tangent, also known as tangent -1. So when I go ahead and solve this, I'm still going to go ahead and do the 15 over 22 first. So I'll go ahead and calculate what is 15 over 22. And again, we always round it to the nearest 10,000th place or 4 decimals. So that's going to give us 0.6818. I'll just bring down the equal sign and the tangent of x. Now remember, I'm looking for x, not the tangent of x, so I got to get rid of the tangent. To get rid of the tangent, I'm going to do the inverse of tangent, which means tangent -1. And what I do on one side, I do to the other. The two tangents will end up canceling each other out, and I'm left with my x. So now I just got to go ahead and calculate the tangent -1 of 0.6818. If I go ahead and type that in my calculator, that's going to go ahead and give us a decimal, but we're always going to round it to the nearest whole degree since it is an angle, so that turns out to be about 34 degrees. So x is about 34 degrees.